I think the eco-village movement can make great contributions by experimentation, by trying things out, by developing tools and approaches for people to use in many different situations, but particularly I focused on ways that people can better resolve conflict with one another. I feel that conflict and our ability to deal with it is really the constraining factor in the success of eco-villages and all kinds of cooperative movements and groups. Diana Leaf Christian, who wrote some key books on the eco-village movement, says 90% of eco-villages fail. And they don't fail because the garden doesn't produce well. They fail because of conflict and people's inability to deal with it. So my background, among other things, is in psychology. That's what my formal education is in. I was also raised by a mother who's a psychotherapist, so that's how I tend to look at the world. And I think if we can develop better skills at negotiating conflict and better understandings of different patterns of human behavior and misbehavior, then the eco-village movement can be far more successful and can also provide models for other groups and other movements. I've always seen myself as a feminist, and to me that means challenging the power relationships between women and men, and challenging the ways that women are acculturated, and men, and acknowledging that in the dominant culture, women are trained to be more attentive to other people's feelings, to social interactions. That's, I think, actually a good thing. I think we should all do that. But I think because of that, it's not a surprise to me to learn that more eco-villages are founded by women in France, because I think women have paid more attention to the human relationships. And I would hope that as eco-villages, again, really focus on the value of developing beneficial relationships between their members and dealing with the conflicts that arise in ways that can be supportive and constructive, that the eco-villages can be more successful. I'm not sure we all need to be trained as psychologists, but I do think it helps to have some basic training in human psychology and understanding what some of our core emotional needs are, and in developing practices and structures that can help meet those needs. We have a powerful need to feel a sense of belonging, and I think that's one reason why people are attracted to joining an eco-village. And we're surrounded by horrible and negative ways of meeting that need by the extreme right, by basically saying, you belong and you don't belong, and that group doesn't belong. And there's no easier way to make people feel a sense of belonging than to exclude somebody else. But it's tremendously detrimental to our emotional health, I think, ultimately, and to our social health. So finding ways to create a sense of belonging. And that often brings us to the things we do in ritual. But also there are things that people do and don't necessarily consider them ritual, like singing and dancing, for example. When we were visiting this eco-village at Notre-Dame-des-Landes, at Lazade in Bretagne, we were told how many of the villages there still do traditional dances. And when people dance together, that creates a sense of belonging. And it used to be that every village had its own dance. Now they do different dances and they all dance together, but think of how that creates a sense of positive identity. In Guatemala, every village has its own huipil, the beautiful kind of ponchos that the women weave and create, and each village has its own design. And when people share something that's creative, when they share things that bring together music and song and ritual and drumming and dancing, as people do in ceremony, as we did this morning with the spiral dance, that creates this tremendous sense of being together, of connectedness. But it does it in a way that doesn't have to say, you're evil because you weren't dancing our village dance, right? It understands that the next village is going to have its own dance, and that it actually can enrich us to learn each other's dances and know that we each can do a dance. I will say I'm more optimistic for the next 10 years now than I was a month ago because of the political context in the United States. It was really strongly looking like Trump was going to win the election and Biden was not a strong enough candidate to win. And when he made the very unselfish decision to drop out and Kamala Harris took over, it's been like electrifying. And she's really just galvanized so much energy and support and enthusiasm. And I'm feeling very, very hopeful.